Okay. We are ready to roll.
We're rolling. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the first Inclusivity Committee of 2026. I keep forgetting it's 2026.
You did it. You didn't get it wrong. I'm proud
No,
of you.
I keep writing 2025. So we're gonna start the meeting by going around and doing introductions. We're gonna try, well, we can discuss as a committee what we want to do, but I thought based on some feedback we got last year and from some discussions that instead of just kind of going around and doing quick attendance and moving into things, we're now doing like a sign-in sheet so guests and members can fill out the sign-in sheet, and then we'll kind of do introductions like name, pronouns, whatever. Like for the first meeting, we'll kind of do if you've been on the Inclusivity Committee for a bit, how long, why you joined, sort of so we can all get to know each other as a group. And then in the future, if we have guests show up, we can sort of, I was thinking maybe kind of do that when we have new folks show up so that they're not just coming in without any interaction with all of us, that it allows for there to be more of a discussion sort of deal. So we'll start in the room and then check in with folks online. I know we have one. So I'm Amanda Polly. She, her pronouns. I have been on Inclusivity Committee since 2023, I think. Right? That sounds right. For a bit.
A hot minute.
And yeah, it was just, I heard about it at Pride, thought it sounded like a fun thing to do, and I've been here ever since. So, yeah, and then we'll.
Oh, okay, we're going clockwise.
Yep.
Cool. I'm Jen Amador, she, they. I have been on Inclusivity Committee for about a year now. I started last January 2025. It still feels like 2025, so anyway, yeah, I joined because, well, for one thing, Amanda was like, please join, and I said, okay. And for another, my previous job was in tech, and the field that I worked in specifically is about 80-20, like men to not men. So it was a bit like, okay, I'm already trying to do this in my day-to-day like career. It might be fun to actually do it for the city and try and build change there as well. The career bit, I've moved jobs, so that obviously didn't work as well as I would have liked, but I enjoyed being on the committee, and I'm here again for this year.
I'm Jane Sherwood. I've been on the committee for 3 years now as a new member to both Oregon and Philomath. I am a retired educator and thought that it would be a good way to learn more about the city and our government and how we all function in Philomath.
I'm Alba Siderlin, and I joined the committee as an unofficial member at the end of 2024. So last year I attended regularly, and this year I'm here as official committee member. And I moved to Oregon and Philomath with my family in August 2024. And last year I attended the Citizens Academy. And yeah.
Hi everyone. So we're just doing intros. If you want to introduce yourself and
also really quickly, there's a packet if you're interested in seeking more work and participating in the discussions, and then there's a sign-in sheet.
Prompt is like what brought
Name, pronouns, what brought you to Inclusivity Committee?
Oh. My name is Ricardo Escobar. This is my wife Lily. We moved here August of 2024, Paloma, from Goose Bay, and then she was in Portland. So we moved around a lot, but we're both federal employees. 2025 was a pretty difficult year for federal employees, and so that kind of spearheaded at least my interest in getting more involved in local opportunities. And so I've been meaning to come to Inclusivity Committee meeting since last February when y'all helped coordinate, I think, the Black History Month event at the museum, which was great. So I'm finally getting out here a year later.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Similar to my husband, I'm Lily Calderon. Yeah, we've been here a year and a half in Philomath. We're loving it. Love the sense of community and would love to participate more in committees like this or events like this just to strengthen that community tie and give back. Yeah, and of course, inclusivity is very important to us. My pronouns, I almost forgot, she, her.
Nissa Teslo, she, her. I was a part of the original ad hoc committee back in 2020. I didn't obviously continue for several years, but I'm back now. Yeah. That's why I'm just back.
Okay. I'm Megan Irwin. My pronouns she, her, and I am a graduate student in social work. And so an inclusivity committee for the city lines up pretty nicely with what I'm learning at school. And I did a community assessment on the city of Philomath last term and really loved engaging with the people that I was able to interview and learning more about the city of Philomath. And one of the themes that sort of stood out to me was the saying nothing about us without us. And so I'm really hoping to like be able to practice that here and yeah, just bring what I'm learning someplace and learn more from the city. And I'm brand new to the committee, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be here.
Good.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Starner. I'm the Assistant City Manager here at City of Philomath, and I'm subbing tonight for the City Manager who's out this week. And my pronouns are she, her. I've lived in the area. I actually lived just inside Corvallis, almost Philomath, but made that choice before I had this job, and lived there since 2021 and have worked here since. So love Philomath. I lived and worked in a small community before coming here, so Philomath is very familiar for the small town charm and connected community. So I love it here.
And I'm Jessica Andrade, she, her, they, them pronouns. I've been involved, like in this, at the beginning, conversations in 2020. And then when I got onto council, kept being here. And just, yeah, very interested in building community and, you know, trying to remove systemic barriers where possible. And I don't know, that's very, I don't know words, sorry. I haven't had enough coffee yet. Jenna?
And Jenna's online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, did you say Jenna?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, hi. I wasn't feeling so good, so I thought I'd avoid you guys. My name's Jenna Fisher. I joined last year, 2025. Pronouns she, her. I wanted to volunteer and wanted to learn more about the local government. I'm an immigrant from the UK, and I've lived here for 5 years. I have been an occupational therapist for the last 20 years. I work within the community and have training in diversity and inclusion, but most of my skills are in mental health and physical health, building community resources, improving quality of life is kind of what we're all about. And also environmental adaptation, so how you can make the environment inclusive to all needs. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from and what my skills are.
Awesome. Great. I'm glad we have such a large, exciting group here tonight. Very, very fun. I thought another thing we sort of talked about a lot last year, both at the beginning of the year and then closer to the end as we were doing handbook edits and things, was sort of what our onboarding process has been in the past. If you can even claim that we really had one. People got the official email from the city, and they get the agenda, but you know, you sort of show up for a meeting, we jump right into it, do work, and that's sort of it. And so we thought we would try something a little different for the first meeting of this year, to just kind of do Inclusivity Committee 101, talk about the general things that folks might need to know, answer questions, sort of just have a conversation about the nuts and bolts of things. And then we also have a item on the agenda to look at a document as well. So we'll do a little logistical work, and then we'll do some actual committee work. So in the packet, the handbook is a work in progress, but that sort of gets into the details of why we do what we do, what the makeup of the committee is, who we meet, and why. So, yeah, I mean, you can just kind of open it up. What do you want to?
You want to do minutes first?
Oh, from last month. I guess that's a thing we could do.
And to make a note about the chair selection.
Jessica's keeping me on task. It's so helpful. Yes, so the first item, yeah, so we have an agenda. We get it. We go through it. Inclusivity Committee. I haven't done one of these in a while.
Only a year.
It is. So our first order of business, if you've done attendance, is to approve the meetings from last month. And also, as Jessica pointed out, we do have a chair. I was the chair last year. I just, for continuity's sake, was the chair for today and put together the packet. But next month, we'll have a full complement of committee members, I'm sure, and we can discuss if people, who wants to be the chair, how we want to do that. So we'll do that at February's meeting. But
When we'll have more than 5 official committee members.
yes,
It makes it easier for being able to have a quorum and to be able to call a meeting if you have more members, so that if people need to be absent for whatever reason, then you're not last minute needing to cancel because someone got a flat tire and can't get there in time or something like that.
and I know there was one misspelling in the attendees from last year, or from last meeting. Does anyone see anything else in the minutes that they want to?
Did you? I think on page 2, line 32, being to be begin. Should begin as early as, not should being as early as.
I totally missed that.
Like, wait a minute, that didn't sound right.
And then, what is his name? Any other options? I'm just gonna state those for the city recorder.
Yes.
So page 1, line 26, the full name is misspelled, correct, first and last?
Yep.
Okay. And page 2, line 32, being is incorrect and should be corrected to begin.
Perfect. Any other points of concern?
Crystal made such a great sign that I really feel like we should make her job easier.
Okay. Are we all good on approving the minutes for last month? We're not as formal as other committees. We just sort of thumbs up. Yeah, we're good. Okay. We're approving the minutes from last month. Before we get into covering any questions, is there anything that folks want to bring up that's not on the agenda?
Our friends at the Benton County Historical Society is having a fundraiser at Block 15 tomorrow, all day at any point in time. A portion of the proceeds will go towards their collections and being able to maintain that, which is very necessary right now with federal cuts to those kinds of programs and services and such. So, either location in Corvallis. Nice. Thanks.
Any other? Jane, do you have a upcoming senior event?
On the second, or no, the first Tuesday,
About that?
on the first Tuesday, we are at Maxtivity at 10 o'clock in the morning to do crafting. And then on the second Tuesday of February, we will be here in this room here at 10 o'clock for a discussion or a info session on home safety, home security, kind of.
So the third for the event at Maxtivity, and then the home safety event on the 10th?
Is what, the 10th? Is that the 10th? Yeah.
Both I pulled up a calendar.
Yeah, both at 10 in the morning.
Great.
Great. Cool, thanks. Just remember that. Right, well, if no one has any other things they want to bring up, we can jump into what we do as a committee. Yeah, so I mean, I just want this to be sort of an informal, I mean, I can talk about the things that come up for me as things that I think would be helpful for folks to know, but also like if there are any questions that came up from the handbook when people looked over it. And then there's also some community agreements in there that will go over and pick a few from to sort of give a framework for behavior and expected how to work with each other. That's right. Yeah, so anyone have any thoughts or questions? Or
Should we kind of like briefly describe as we go for new members who haven't been able to
go through the
yet?
handbook just
And then like as we go, if you have questions and like we can like go through the comments that I put in there of things for us to consider.
yes, do that.
Would you need to, or did you want to, or?
Well, I mean, either. I don't really, like, so you want to go?
I just thought it might be helpful to kind of go through just a little bit of the description for each section. Why don't I at least do the
Go
like
for
the
it.
first page?
Yeah, go for it.
So I wrote most of this, but please tell me if you need to redline a bunch of stuff. It is,
And we have reviews.
We've gone, yeah.
this is like our third
Well, and I
time
wasn't,
through.
so I guess, are you talking about going through and like,
Well, so-
I was mostly thinking about like, if we're reviewing it for content, are you talking about reviewing it for content, or are you talking about going through and like?
I think line edits might be something where it's good to give people time to sit with it, especially since we do have new people coming in. Like, it is included in here, so if people have feedback immediately, great, but if not, it might be something we want to put on the agenda for February. I think, Amanda, if I understand, you're trying to like let people know what the committee is and kind of what we do, because having been on the like other side of this last year, where it was like I came in and there was immediately like a bunch of committee business and stuff, it was like, I don't really know what's going on or what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think going over like a quick, like, here's how it is structured, here's what our goals are, here's what we've historically done might be good.
Thank you, Jen. That is very much what I was trying to say, but words.
Gotcha. Okay, that's also what I was trying to do, but I got confused by you talking about the
Gotcha.
edits, which is also like we can, but yes.
And also, if I may say.
Yes, please do.
There were, I don't think it was a handbook as such, but there were guidelines on the website. So like when I first came, I did look at something that was very similar to this. So this has been a work in progress. And Jessica has been working with Amanda on them, but then they have brought it here and we have discussed it too. So it is up to date, I think, to what we attempt to do in this Inclusivity Committee. So going over it, I think for new members would be useful.
Thank you. Cool. And maybe touch, I think what you were talking about is kind of using the sections to touch on that subject. See if
Yes.
that guides maybe
Gotcha.
questions in that section. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're all on the same page here.
Cool beans.
Page 6.
Parts are hard, especially at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, this is meant to try to clarify some of our, practices and how we do work the committee, trying to find that balance between doing work and, giving the time and space to be able to discuss, very sensitive, difficult topics that need extra care. So finding that balance and knowing how, where we're going and how to kind of get there. A little bit of that. Anyway, and so this is work in progress and updates can be made at any point in time by the committee. The Inclusivity Committee began in June 2020, and when George Floyd was murdered, and out of that formation of the committee, there was an inclusivity proclamation, and that eventually turned from a council ad hoc committee to a committee that has been opened up to the wider community as members. So it's, even though we were invited to participate in 2020, we weren't members of the committee. The votes, they had voting and it was the council members. So, and so we just want everyone to be able to participate in that. And in here, we also have our mission and objectives that we formed as a committee, and some examples of some objectives in practice. They're not necessarily things that we have done or definitely plan to do, but they were ideas at the time when we first were trying to come up with what kinds of goals we wanted to have. And so like, I'll note in this section, there's throughout the document, there's a couple phrases like voices to be heard that's potentially ableist language. And so we had a suggestion to change that to like lived experiences shared or something to that kind. So that's one of the things that I would appreciate feedback on. And then the track changes are the ones that we agreed upon at our last meeting, or I might have added them, but I think for the most part, it's from the last meeting, just to clarify that. Yeah. And then I have that question for you about
That's good.
volunteers. That's fine, okay.
You all like that? I told Jessica as long as it doesn't say volunteers.
Yeah, there's a
Or else you
legal
want to
thing.
describe that as it's just a kind of a legal, volunteer for the city, insurance, government thing, So, yes, I think that sounds fine if you all agree to it.
So if anyone has any questions or thoughts about this intro section or answer to, or response thoughts on that question about the phrase of voices to be heard, let me know.
Just a comment on the email that they sent us to notify me to be that I was appointed to this committee. They added a PDF with goals and objectives, and the headline says Equity and Inclusion Committee. So maybe updated that document as well to Inclusivity Committee.
Yeah, I figured we'd be doing that at some point. I think making sure that we have the mission and objectives, and if we decide to continue with the objectives in practice, then
Is that a previous document?
yeah, that was the original. That was the original goals stuff, and
So
then
this would maybe replace that eventually.
it would either replace it or it would just be like another, having it separate so that if people want to know.
Sure, the history.
I wouldn't be opposed to having a court at some point. Which I think I might have said it.
And I think we did talk about doing, like, having this as the, sort of wordy framework and having that separate document of, so something similar that went out into the email, but that is up to date and matches.
Maybe on the website
Yeah.
would be great, so that's
Something that is,
content on the
Yeah,
website
exactly.
that's more accessible for people.
slash if there's any section
No, I mean, I think it's just,
I think the intro was, I definitely wanted to give context.
yeah, I think the cool thing to me about this committee is that even though we have these, or I guess not even though, as we have these objectives in our document that are pretty broad, and every year I feel like there's an opportunity for us to, as a committee, decide what is important to us in that year within these goals and objectives. And it's sort of up to us to decide, you know, what we want to focus on in the year. You know, you mentioned going to the Black History Month talk that we had last year. That was just something that we decided we wanted to do. There was, you know, an external person who brought the idea to us, and we liked it and, you know, made that happen. But it's sort of like we have these membership requirements and the way we do things, and, you know, we have the processes in which we do them, but it's sort of up to us as a committee to decide what we want to do, which I think is very cool. So, you know, we talked last year about reviewing the strategic plan as an inclusivity committee and seeing where we saw ourselves in that strategic plan, or if council's trying to work on something and it aligns with our goals for that year, so we can kind of work together on that. Like, that was something that came out of us looking at this bullet point about reviewing city documents. So I think it's exciting that if there's anything that people I mean, that's sort of how the senior group started. There was this need from the community, and Jane went and did all of this research on, you know, age-friendly communities, and we talked about it as a committee and tried to figure out how we wanted to bring something to the senior members of our community. And now there's this senior group that is serving, you know, at a population of our city, because, you know, there was a group of folks on this committee who, you know, had passion for that. And like, I think that's amazing. So I guess that's sort of my meandering elevator pitch of, you know, what that all means to me, that we can just have a goal and make it happen.
We just haven't done that yet for this year.
Right.
Are we doing it? Are we doing that for this year in this meeting?
Are we doing what?
Like this, seeing what we're gonna do this year?
I mean, we can.
People have ideas. I mean, we should probably start talking about it now, right?
Like planning. I mean,
yeah, if there are ideas that you have, we can talk about it.
well, I wanted to say something about like the changing the word volunteers to advisory bodies, and then having received this City of Philomath Citizen Advisory Group's member and staff manual, and understanding the Inclusivity Committee as an advisory group in relation to city government, like that kind of clarifies also the function of this committee, that it has a relation, or it bridges the community needs to also bring awareness to other government entities. So I think that advisory bodies, or member of advisory bodies kind of clarifies that function.
So if there aren't any other thoughts or questions to share about that section, do we want to kind of summarize the other sections as well? Amanda,
Yeah, we can do that.
would you like me to, or did you want to?
I mean, I can. So just like the composition and.
Yeah.
proclamations and stuff.
I think it would be helpful to point out how your official, unofficial works from
Yeah.
a quorum, what that is, like specifically. Proclamation, talk about proclamation.
Talk about that more. Yeah. So there's been some conversation already about it, this official committee member, unofficial committee member, like language that's been kind of going back and forth. So there are members of the committee who are appointed by city council, who are what we've been calling like official members. And there's a set number of those members that have to be present at a meeting for the meeting to take place. And that's called a quorum. So we have, what is it, 9? No, 6. So we have 9 official, we can have up to 9 official committee members. We're not at 9 now.
We are at 5.
We're at 5.
And 3 of them are from city council, like they are.
So usually, yeah, so there are 9 appointed members. 2 of them are current city council members, Jessica Andrade and Councilor Diane Crocker, who is not here. And so they are sort of the bridge between us and city council. So it gives us a chance to, ask counselors questions, like they can bring things to city council on our behalf. There are other ways to do that as well. And so that's sort of how that works. And then unofficial committee members are everybody else, are the non-appointed members who just show up. The format of this committee is a little different than other committees at the city. Most of those committees, like if you've ever been to a city council meeting, you sit in the chairs, you kind of are an observer, but you're not engaging. Here, we want everyone to just come to the table. We want raised hands if possible. Like, we're sort of you're sitting with your pals, like having a conversation. This is much more informal. Yeah. So that's kind of how we do things. Same with how we did minutes earlier. If there's something that needs a consensus in a way, it's not even really a numbered consensus. We kind of do raised hands, or if folks have objections or, comments, we can discuss those. But it's meant to be informal, like as Jessica was saying, these conversations, like some of the stuff that we may talk about in these meetings can be emotional and heated, and people have a lot of passion about this work. And so it's been my experience that having these sort of open, structured meetings makes those conversations a little easier to have when you're not kind of constrained by that, rigid.
Obeying Robert's rules of
Yes.
order.
Yeah. And so, let's see if I missed. There's a lot of like details about how long terms are, and we don't have to. There are people want to read more about that. If anyone wants to apply to be an official member, there are still 3 spots open. I know some. 4.
Because we have 5. It's mainly because of that's part of the thing I needed to maybe talk with you about, but because the way that we have it structured was a minimum of minimum of 6, maximum of 9 official committee members.
But now we don't have 3 counselors.
We don't have 3 counselors anymore.
In the past,
and I don't
we've
know
had
if it's up to 3 counselors or like there's some language there that needs to be figured out, and we can bring that back later.
Yes. Yeah.
And
If
let's
there's
see.
anything else, I mean, the rest of it's just,
Oh, yeah, and to clarify, there's nothing, like, I know we talk about quorum somewhere. Is it in?
oh, it's in E. I just saw it. Where'd it go? Maybe not. E. No.
Well, anyway, somewhere it says, it talks about a quorum, and so a quorum is one more than half of the members of a body, governing body or committee or advisory, whatever. And so since we only have 5 official committee members, 3 is a quorum because that's one more than, well, it's half more than half, but anyway. And the reason why we have to pay attention to quorums has to do with staying in line with Oregon's public meetings laws, and we have to be careful about we have to make sure we have a quorum in order to officially have a meeting, because if you don't notice, if you have a meeting and you don't have a quorum, you're in violation, and there's a potential for serial meetings if you meet to talk business
Outside of.
outside of the non-noticed meeting.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a lot of silly stuff, and so
it would be considered that if you don't have a quorum.
And so that's the only reason why we have official committee members. Like if we didn't have to have them to be, in line with these laws, then people could just show up and we wouldn't need to necessarily have people sign up or like do roll call or whatever. But
yeah, and I would add to that too, just the importance that being an appointed member of the committee and being someone who just comes to meetings and isn't like appointed by council, the difference between those two people is literally just paperwork. Like those people, like appointed members and non-appointed members are equal. Like our conversations, like everybody weighs in the same way. Like just because you were appointed by council versus showing up to a meeting, there's no difference in your participation in the room. We want everybody to feel like they're participating and contributing, being heard and understood.
And I'd also add that well, you just said, can you remind me what you just said, please? Sorry.
We're talking about the basically equal
Membership, essentially.
Yeah. There was something specific that you said that, oh well, I'll yell it out later. When I remember it.
Just text me and I won't text you back for several days.
Same.
Does anyone have any questions about any of those kind of technicalities that?
Oh, that's what it was.
Oh,
thank you.
Technical.
I don't know how, but yeah, so the main, so the only thing we ask is like, if you're not going to, if you're unsure if you can be here relatively consistently, wait, hold on. If you are going to be here relatively consistently, we appreciate it if you consider signing up for the committee to be an official committee member. If you're unsure if you can do that, or you know you can't for whatever reason, then it's preferable that you remain an unofficial committee member, just because of that whole quorum thing.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, I think you said that very well. It really is just for technical purposes and trying to make sure that we can keep the meetings going and functioning and, yeah.
I think you wrote something in here about that. Yes, so I think that makes sense.
And sort of related to that, I mean, we went over membership. The next section is committee operations, but the first thing about officers and chairs and co-chairs kind of tie into what we were just talking about is that, and Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have to be an appointed member to be a chair.
Correct.
So anybody who, so being a chair involves doing what I'm doing at whatever level. This is a great place to sort of test out your, like if you I wish I could facilitate a meeting, or I want to become more familiar with creating agenda, or this is a very kind of low stakes place to do that. So as the chair, you run the meeting, you talk with staff about the materials that need to come to them to create the agenda. As the chair, you are sort of in charge of creating that agenda, but the agenda comes from the committee members. So if there's stuff that folks want to talk about, anybody can say, hey, I really want to talk about this at the next meeting, or something came up that I think we should talk about, or something's happening in town, or there's any number of things that participants want to talk about. Like, you can share that with the chair and they'll put that on the agenda for us to discuss. And then, yeah, you submit any packets, and that you'll be trained on how to do that if you decide you want to be the chair. We used to do a rotating every 3 months sort of thing, but there were people on the committee who just dreaded when that chair position came around to them, and we sort of discussed it. And so I just did it all last year because
You're fearless.
I like doing this. Not great at it, but I do like it. But I do think that there is a benefit to doing a co-chair sort of situation where you have someone who is chairing the meeting primarily, but if I was going to be sick, or sort of like how Jessica and I have been bouncing back and forth, like you have sort of two people who are both have eyes on the agenda and are sort of co-facilitating. So that might be an option. So at the next meeting, it will be after city council meeting, and new members will have been appointed, and we'll have more appointed members potentially joining us, so we can kind of talk about who's interested in chairing, if folks are. But yeah, that's kind of.
But you don't have to be
No.
an official committee
No, you
member
can
in order
be-
to chair.
Exactly.
As long as you're committed to trying to be here as regularly as possible.
Yeah. And then of course, once you are chair, there's deadlines on when things need to be submitted to the city, and you'll work pretty closely with the city recorder. It's a nice OneDrive situation that I'm quite a fan of. So submitting documents is super easy, and so it's fun. Any questions come up either about the stuff we've talked about or stuff we haven't talked about? I want to, so one of the things that was on our agenda was to talk about community agreements. I am going to request, if folks are in agreement, that we move that to the next month's meeting to get a little more in depth, because I do want to spend some time talking about the proclamation for Women's History Month. And we can talk a little more about proclamations right before we do that. Does anyone have any objections to that? Or do you want to?
I think the women's history was the timing of it, right? That
Yeah,
you
because it would
need
have to be
discuss it
read in
tonight.
March.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that tracks.
And also, I think that would give your newly appointed members, I mean, they would be getting it pretty soon, but they would have some time to read through it and discuss it with you, which might be good as well.
Yeah, and if we do have new people coming in,
Yes.
they might want to weigh in on community
Sure.
governance.
Also, I'll just say that like the rest of the handbook is kind of straightforward, like this agenda, and like I probably need to actually change the agenda section
Yeah, because we've changed the headers and
since
stuff a
then,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, Priscilla.
And then there's the other committee procedures, which is just kind of, just trying to make sure that we're open about how we do certain things. And I think especially with regards to proclamations and resolutions, which you can talk about more. And then at some point, we'll need to discuss our thoughts on working with organizations and community groups and figuring out whether the Inclusivity Committee, whether like we are putting on events or if we're, coming up with ideas and then like almost like an innovation hub of some kind, and like people like, you come up with an idea and then it becomes no longer like a city or inclusivity committee thing. And because we've kind of had some a little confusion about whether something is a city event or a city, like,
Yeah.
I guess a city event, yeah.
Well,
An inclusivity committee event.
I even noticed on so in the packet, we have a calendar. This is what we have used in the past to sort of look at the different sort of things we've drawn attention to, events that we've had. But one of the things that Jessica's referencing is there's a Pride Festival that happens in town. It started, and this was before I was here, so I might get this wrong, but like, so there was some discussion of it in the Inclusivity Committee, and members of the Inclusivity Committee were organizing Pride, but the two things are not, like, Philomath Pride is not a city-run event. It doesn't happen, like, the Inclusivity Committee doesn't plan it. There has been historically overlap of members, and so we've used Inclusivity Committee to like provide updates or ask for volunteers, and that has created confusion on whether or not it's a city-related event.
Yeah, that first year, the person who like started it all had said like, yeah, let's do a Pride event, and the rest of us were like, we only have like 2 months or 3 months or something like that. Like, I don't think we can do that. And, but like, we'd be happy to help outside of the committee, like, because you can only meet so often as a committee. And so that's kind of what I meant by like, there was an idea that happened here and was discussed here and people liked it, but then it wasn't a city thing. And that's further complicated by the fact that the city has like helped like pay for training for de-escalation and like other kinds of things, so. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a conversation worth having. But like, so on our calendar in here, there's an event tag, which probably should not be there because the city has never done a Pride event. It has always been external to the city.
What about the other events here? The Black and African American Heritage and the
Yes, so
Veterans
those
Day?
two, we typically do,
So are they city, I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Veterans Day event is one, I guess, has been organized mostly by Eric and other members of city staff, and then we've supported that in some way. And then,
So it's not completely a city event, but it's been like fiscally sponsored by, because we had to, and also logistically supported by like volunteers being there and handing out like programs and stuff.
I'd say it's a city event. It's just that we have non-city supporters
thank you.
helping to plan it and facilitate it. But,
yeah.
a lot of it has to do with, again, government things, liability, right? And so like the Veterans Day is, the city is accepting the liability. There are other organizers, but we're housing it under the city's liability.
Yeah.
And
Because
I
that is what, I mean, the pride event, that's been a little part of all of that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is where, if we decide there's a speaker that we want to bring in and it aligns with the goals of the committee, then we can ask the city, we take that to city council and say, hey, we want to bring in a speaker. This is what it would cost to bring them here. Can we have money to invite someone to come speak? And then it becomes a city of Philomath event, but it is organized by the committee. And that sort of tangentially to that is that events like that, where it's sort of, you're on a timeline. In the past, what we've had is sort of I don't want to say, it's like a working group almost, where you have, as long as you don't have quorum, a group of people can meet outside of the committee to work on logistics, like reaching out to speakers, reaching out to venues, sort of doing that behind the scenes stuff, and then bringing that to the committee at one of our monthly meetings and saying, hey, we reached out to, speaker XYZ, they're interested in coming. Now that we sort of have some idea of what to ask for, now we can bring that to city council and, see if they would fund that speaker, and then we sort of plan that event. So that would be an example of a city event. So
Maybe we'll review that
yeah.
individual basis.
Yeah, I think it came up because there's just been we've had some questions about funding for certain things, and if funding can be applied for certain events, but if it's related to the city, you can't apply for certain grant funding if it's like a government. I don't actually, but it brought up a bunch of questions that we were kind of.
Or some things you can't use for city functions,
Right.
or you couldn't apply for it, and one of the staff members has to apply. There a lot of complexities, and it doesn't mean that you can't do them. It just is kind of that planning, brainstorming, figuring out again what the council is supporting or saying. We would like to make a donation to that event. We're not going to be able to house it under the city. So sometimes that's happened, and so, yeah.
And I'll note that as a slight tangent, since we're talking about money, I know we've talked about, because we don't have a line item in the budget for the committee, but there is a line item that goes towards education and training and stuff in the council budget. And so that's usually where they take the money from to support whatever we're asking for financial support for. And we've talked about requesting a line item, but I don't know if now is a good idea for this budget cycle, since we haven't talked about what we want to do. And so we don't have a good number approximation, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe if if you're talking about things next time and you're thinking you have some events. I mean, you do know generally how much historically what some of the events have cost or can. So if you did come up with some things, I think there's still time.
Cool. So think about it
Yeah, think about
and bring numbers.
And discussing goals
That would be
and
great.
ideas and stuff next meeting, do our community agreements and think about.
So, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
realizing that this calendar of such that you have in this handbook, maybe it was from when this was put together, but is there anything planned for like January, January and already like February? Or
There isn't, and one of the discussions we had about this calendar, I threw it in here just as kind of a reference to what we've done in the past, but there were some conversations that came up at a couple meetings last year about whether or not, you know, we keep the same sort of events every year. You know, do we do a senior citizens day post, or like a you know, we have a Women's History Month proclamation that we're gonna go over, but if there were other things that we maybe wanted to highlight instead of the same things every year, and I don't think we came to a consensus really. Like, we all just kind of were like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Which is sometimes, you know, the downside to, you know, like all of us being like, I don't know. But so the conversation sort of ended as to, do we want to continue sort of focusing on the same things that we did the year before, or new things? And yeah.
And I'll note also, so not even necessarily like switching out for each month, like what gets spotlighted, but just kind of not having anything necessarily planned, and maybe choosing a couple here and there throughout the, like not have something every month. Because after a while, there's kind of this feeling of chequity of like, did we do a social media post? Is there a banner available for this? Like, and less meaningful actions, or there are other things we can do. For me personally, it felt like it was, all we talked about was the calendar most of the time, not all the time, but I would be interested in reviewing documents or like doing some other things. And the way that we've structured it in the past with this format has made it difficult to be able to do that. At least that's my assessment of it, but I don't know how others feel.
I think in the past, though, we kind of designed the calendar to highlight the inclusive things that we were doing. We had the banners created so that we could post them and include, and I think it was, we were focusing on how do we include the many things that we sit around the table talking about. So we had a media post focusing on a topic of the month. And I think that maybe we're beyond that now. Maybe we can step back from all of this and go, okay, now what can we focus on? Because we've spent those years focusing on these things. Now they're sort of set. If we find a need to post something that is important to us, we can post it without going, oh, we didn't post one in January. Now, now we're all out of whack. We can pick and choose and be a little bit more, we can bring that a little bit more together.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I think that's where the, like, how we've talked about how each person has their own things that they're passionate about, and just, you know, if you're passionate about a particular month and want to like do something for that, then like go ahead. Like, you know, it's kind of a if you feel the urge to do this thing, like, let us know and just do it. And we'll, of course, have everyone, approve it, make sure that, we're checking for potential, things that need to be changed. But yeah.
Yeah, I do remember, like, when there were social media posts that needed to go out, it was sort of one of those situations where you would almost do an eeny, meeny, miny, mo sort of thing, where it was at random who had to do it because no one wanted to
I guess it's my
write them.
turn.
Yeah, because it did sort of become one of those.
Well, I have only been here for a year, so I don't feel that routinary work that maybe some of the members for more years feel like. And I would think that I'm not personally passionate about anything. And so I think, but I think for that reason it's tricky, because if the Inclusivity Committee is not planning these events, and it depends on the passion of individuals or external groups, then what is the Inclusivity Committee doing? Like, what is the boundaries of that work? And so last year I participated in several of these events where when it was required for me as a part of this group. So I went to the Black and African American, the event that was there, and I don't know, I pulled some chairs, and I went to Pride, and I've been helping at the Senior Society more regularly because they have more events. And so, and with Jen and you, we did with Jessica, we did the Hispanic awareness and farmers market, and we made a list of members of the community that maybe would like to participate in a larger event. But like, if that depends on me feeling like we should celebrate Hispanic awareness, then I don't think, it's
self-serving.
difficult if we think that it depends on somebody feeling like they want to do this. And I see this calendar more like a commitment to not necessarily have an event each time, but a commitment to do something. Like, even if it's a social media post, do something, because each one of these items is here because it speaks to all the concerns of equity and inclusion. And I wouldn't I wouldn't select one just because it's expected from me or because I feel more close to any of them. And I think that's part of the being here is not, you're not just thinking about yourself or your own identity, but seeing where the community would benefit of bringing awareness to other groups. So, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just, to clarify, what I meant more of was like,
Thanks for coming.
yeah, thanks for being here.
Okay.
See you next time. Okay. Have a good evening. Kind of what I meant more of was like, we have all of these other examples, the objectives and benefits of, trying to, review the documents that the city has, or like, to try to help identify and remove systemic barriers. And there's other thing, trying to figure out how to strengthen the city's relationship with tribal nations, and like other kinds of things that we can be doing that are not calendar related, they're like longer term even like doing the age friendly stuff, because like it started as we're going to join this age friendly program and network, and then you're going to have a group meeting with seniors to get feedback on what that looks like, and then that became a whole different thing, a really awesome thing that is very wanted and needed, and it's awesome. But we can also return to the original program and try to like slowly make our way through it. And so I guess what I was trying to get at was that the calendar seems like the way that it is currently feels like a lot if we want to do other things as well.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's just me or not. Like I agree, there are things that I think it is important, and I think
And
some people do. Like,
sorry, things that are not much work, like putting a social post or hanging the banner or or show the proclamation that are already written. Like not everything has to be an event, but not to lose focus on the things that we are already preparing. Just put them out there for the public.
yeah, no, we can do. Yeah, if the committee is comfortable with reposting the same post every year, or um, uh, being comfortable with not really taking a look at a proclamation too in depth or something like that. I just don't know if, yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's taken a lot of time in the past, but maybe that's just me.
I don't think it's just you. I was just going to add, I mean, you only have so much time, everyone, and it is a lot of work, and your events that you have are a lot of work. So it's almost like the strategic plan with the council, where you have this list of things, and maybe someone does say, I want to work on reviewing the strategic plan this year, and that, you could add those in, or maybe you're removing some other things saying, this month we cannot handle doing, this year in June, we can handle doing that post or that proclamation because we're doing this other work of something that we decided to do. So it's kind of, I think the planning it out a year in advance is good. And some of those things just happen, right? Like our public works crew is going to go hang the banners that they have. That's just going to happen. But some other things, it may be hard to project your whole year out so that you have time to work on those projects that come up that you want to work on.
I think there's also something that has come up in conversation. I think there are ways for us to be in the community without taking ownership of an event, but like still be out as like last year early on, we talked about going and volunteering at PCS and helping them move things from one room to another, or helping them with like food drive collection, or strengthening rural families has events all the time. There are all kinds of different places that we could sort of keep an eye out for, or like reach out to folks and be like, hey, whichever board, like, are you having an event, or is there something coming up that you need support at that we could help with, but also table at, or like, so there's sort of this reciprocal where it's only a day of our time, right? Where we basically, the organizing happens in a different way. So we're still meeting our mission and our goals, and we're out in the community and we're talking to community members, but we're not necessarily bringing in a speaker and using resources in our time, and like, which we can still do, but just maybe thinking about sort of different ways than we've done in the past in engagement, which we can talk about next meeting.
I was gonna say,
Yes, please.
when I first joined, I feel like in my mind, what I envisioned that it would be was that we would be like assisting with other parts of the government, and making sure that inclusivity is brought to attention, or for example, to make inclusivity kind of understood, or increase the acceptability of the word inclusivity, making it inclusive for all. So like how we could have an impact on the park board, making increasing opportunities for creating community within our city parks, with putting forth ideas as to how could we create an environment that is not just for an event, so a short-lived kind of moment, but having something that is going to be there for the long term, which is like a community creator, because I feel like that is what's finding our commonalities, I feel like, is the most important. And being an immigrant and from a different country, and I feel like for me anyway, I feel like focusing on what makes us the same is what creates community, and figuring out how you could improve, physical and mental health by creating that community in the environment that we already have, because we have so much space. And I guess how we could share those ideas with the other boards.
Yeah, I really like that.
Being able to do both the, like, what makes us unique and what do we have in common, because I agree, like sometimes it feels like one might get like kind of spotlighted over the other, and I think that might not having those in balance is what leads to a lot of controversy and
Yeah. And I think being able to be inclusive to all, like dog owners, that's a member of our community, and how could we improve the community for them also, like creating a dog park so that they can actually have those moments of conversation that wouldn't happen otherwise, that there are people from different backgrounds, and it's creating community, and for them to be able to have a conversation that they maybe wouldn't otherwise have. I feel like that's important, as opposed to having to pay for things and going to classes and going at a certain time, creating these open-ended community opportunities.
Just remind me that I wanted to mention the 2050 vision of the city, and that maybe we have something to say.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I completely forgot. Not about the visioning, but like
As the community.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna stop us here, but I want we have one more thing, but I would really like it if for the next meeting, folks think about that sort of the goals. I just jotted down a bunch of the stuff that Jenna said, but like if there are things that like you can either be really specific or sort of broad, like things that you would like to see the committee maybe work on, if it's reviewing a document or, an accessible path in a park that isn't accessible now, or just something that we might be able to focus on or discuss at the next meeting, if folks are interested in that or not.
And I would think, will we have strategic plan draft by then that we could potentially look at?
What date?
February something.
Okay, so our last item of business before we all go on our way is reviewing the Women's History Month proclamation. Jessica, can you do kind of an overview of briefly about what proclamations are, the purpose of them?
Please correct me when I get it wrong, inevitably. But there are two kinds of documents. There might be more. Proclamations and resolutions that I always confuse with each other. Proclamations are what we typically focus on, but I believe the Inclusivity Proclamation is a
We usually
resolution.
adopt them by resolution.
We adopt them by resolution.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
I always get confused by that.
Yeah. so,
So that's what it is.
yeah, the resolution is
Resolutions
how
are
the
different.
council adopts it,
Okay.
but they're adopting the proclamation, claiming that to the
I
community.
can't believe it took this long.
It's confusing. And to be fair, they've been done several different ways. I think even since I've been here, so.
Well, because sometimes it says like a resolution proclaiming, and then it's
Yes.
like, so this is a resolution.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, proclamations are essentially that, proclaiming something to be.
Way for the city council to put that messaging out. I'm sure you've seen other, the president does proclamations, they're really super lengthy usually, and
There's,
yeah, so but the council does try to be a little more selective about what we're doing, and that it's actually something, a message for the community, and the Inclusivity Committee does suggest a lot of proclamations to the city council to adopt.
yes, and it has a very specific structure where the whereas clauses give context and kind of builds up to the point, which is usually proclaiming a particular month or day. And then hopefully there's also an additional meaningful, therefore clause about like meaningful action, but that's usually hard to do, and most of the time it ends up being encouraging the community to do something, but.
So in the packet is the Women's History Month proclamation from 2025. Women's History Month takes place in March. So the idea is that probably by next meeting, we would have a finished, because we want to basically make any edits and approve it in time to send it to council to be read in March.
Yeah, they can read it in March, yes, I think that's when they.
That's what we did it last year.
Yeah,
did that
March,
last year?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think it was March 10th last year.
Yeah, it was.
I could offer that I would start with a suggestion for line 11.
Yeah, you said there was a
I have the
different.
updated.
There's a new theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to read, the theme for National Women's History Month in 2026 is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, to highlight women driving sustainability across environmental, economic, and social justice areas.
Want to copy and paste that into an email?
I have it, actually already. Here.
Thank you.
Yes. How does everyone feel about that? Consensus on updating that to the 2026?
Yes.
Feel good about it.
Good.
Right.
There was also a comment under this summary that last year we received feedback including mothers, to include mothers both at home, that stay at home, and those that work, as well as women in caretaking roles. So I was trying to work on a whereas, maybe add to that. I came up maybe with, whereas we recognize and honor women of Philomath in their role as mothers, raising children, managing households, taking on caregiving roles, and working from home to strengthen our community in the past, present, and future.
Yes, and our closed captioning just picked that up very nicely, so.
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't know where to
But
put
if
it
you have it
within.
too.
Again, I didn't know where to pop it in
Sure. Yeah.
either. Yeah, hadn't had that.
That's a good question. How do people feel about that? Whereas, just for context, if anyone doesn't know, this went, correct me if I'm wrong, went to the city council. Out of the city council came, we would like to see something related to this come back when it comes back.
Yeah,
And please fill in on that.
I can't remember if it actually happened in a council meeting. 'Cause
No,
I think
it wasn't.
Chris-
It wasn't
I think
officially.
Chris brought it
Okay.
in a meeting, like
Okay,
our monthly meeting.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
Okay.
He and I talked about this.
okay,
Okay.
great. How does it feel about adding a whereas?
I think we could add that. I would say we add it between the whereas that starts on line 36 and the one that starts on line 39. Because we do have 36 women in Philomath doing work, blah, blah, blah. And then 39 is we recognize, community involvement. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a nice one.
Segue.
Yeah.
I agree.
That all sounds great.
Consensus. Easy.
Thanks for the words, Jamie.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So with those two edits, if everyone is in agreement, would then request that it be added to the city council agenda for March. And then typically what happens is a councilor or the mayor, depending, will read. If the council approves reading it in the meeting, then someone will read it and pass the resolution, and
I think we'll have
it's a pretty seamless process.
Good.
You feel good about it?
And then they put it on social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do all that stuff. Yeah.
Maybe, sure.
Yeah, and we have a banner for Women's History Month as well that goes up on
Yeah, we actually.
the poll.
We may put this on the second meeting in February for council, just so you know, we have a pretty full agenda.
Perfect.
I think we've got work session, executive session, we're not specific, but it's too much. So, but it will be in February, so make those updates and update the dates at the bottom as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
It is so close.
So we are gonna end right on time. I just want to review some notes that I've taken about agenda items for February. We're going to discuss chair appointments, we'll review community agreements. We don't have to do that anymore. And then we can talk about committee goals and things that come up for everybody over the next month. Is there anything else that I missed or anything that I didn't list that folks want to add?
Well, I'll just clarify that I wasn't sure if I didn't hear us come to some sort of like consensus about the calendar and like what to do next.
We did, well, I think
I guess because if we are going to continue, then knowing whether we should bring April or May to be considered for the agenda. And I don't know if National Holocaust Remembrance Day will be in April this year or if it's in a different month.
It just happened.
Did it just happen?
no.
No, so it would be new.
And
Yeah.
And will the banner for February will be hung?
Yeah, the banners are scheduled to just go up,
And
so.
what about the Poverty in America social media post? Is that too late?
We have one from last year, so.
I'm sorry, I don't know what date is
It's
today.
okay. Do we have consensus to share the post from last year? And if so, we can share it again tomorrow.
Yes.
So that it gets up there. Okay. I'll put that as a note and we'll get that shared again.
Yes.
February, yeah, the flag is scheduled to go up. I was communicated to about that today.
Great.
So, okay. And
Uh,
then what was the next
You're
one?
right, that was international. National Holocaust Remembrance Day is at 8.
Tuesday, April 14th.
Okay,
Oh.
sorry about that.
I was on the wrong, no, you're good.
You're fine.
I think this happened last time too, which was why.
Yeah, it's on the lunar calendar.
Hmm,
So,
there you go.
yeah, the UN recognized holiday was the 27th. So, yesterday or today. Wow, today. And there is another that is also noted, but it's on the lunar calendar, and so it's usually in April or May. And this year it's April 14th,
Thank you.
at least according to the U.S. Holocaust Museum. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully.
And so, Jessica, you were saying that we should review that proclamation next meeting.
I was wondering what our
I believe we
consensus
have
was
one that was in at least a draft of one. I don't know if we,
for National Holocaust Remembrance Day.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
could, I can add the draft from, because I think we
I can look
ran
for
into
it.
this last year where we
I don't.
were gonna do it, but we ran out of time.
So I'm
But
thinking that one we don't actually have. And there was a question of whether or not we had it, and Zena kept saying that she had done research on it and that it could be turned into a proclamation, but then we never were able to
I'll check, because I
confirm.
did do some digging last year.
Okay.
But I'll add to the agenda for February that we can review whatever we have or don't have. And that would give us a chance. If we don't have something,
Mhm.
we can draft something in February, or a group of folks can volunteer to work on it offline, and then we can review it
Mhm.
in March. Would that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, because then it would,
As long as we
as
approve
long as,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because then it would be read in April, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll add that. I have a busy, busy day. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Thanks. Thank you all so much for coming and being here and spending your Tuesday night with us and the rest of the year. Hopefully this was really exciting and everybody loved it, and we'll
Totally do it again next month.
totally do it again next month. Bring your friends. Okay.
Feel better, Jenna.
Bye, Jenna. Thank you so much for your thoughts.
Bye. Thank you.
Feel better.
We're adjourning
Thanks.
at
Bye.
by 7:05 PM.